Hello, my beautiful creative souls, and welcome back to the channel for another video. Today I wanted to do a really quick video. I'm actually in the middle of my kind of little me time ritual. I got my ritual candles going. We've got some incense burning, all kinds of fun things. But sorry if that made anybody sick moving the camera there. But I am in the middle of edging this deck. I pulled it out to do a review and it just felt like the thing to do today. And since I do my deck edging, I feel with a little different than most people, at least the ones that I've seen online. I thought I would share it with you. And I know I've gotten comments in the past where people are like, I didn't even know you could edge decks. So if you are in the camp and have not seen anyone edge a deck before, you can do it, and this is how I do it. There's multiple different ways to do it. I feel like if you want to do any kind of deck modification, Dawn Michelle from she used to be Boho Tarot. I think she's just Dawn Michelle Tarot now, something like that. I'll leave her linked below. She's like the queen of deck alterations, but I like to do mine in a very specific way, and since I'm in the middle of this one, I thought I would just share it with you. So when I edge decks, I strictly use paint pens, and these are the two brands that I like. I enjoy the Arteza acrylic marker paint pens and the Posca paint pens. If you're going to get the Arteza ones to edge decks, I like to get the larger bullet tip. I have a huge set of these. I have the smaller tip as well, but it's not quite big enough to do a deck edge. And then with the Poscas, you can use pretty much any size. This one happens to be a smaller size. It's the PC3M, but I have used the larger bullet tip on other decks as well. And at the end, I'll show you some other decks that I've edged so you can kind of see how the different colors look. But the reason I like to use paint pens is because I absolutely despise having things rub off on my fingers. And I've tried like regular markers or acrylic ink markers or Sharpie or things in the past, and they get everywhere. Like there's a certain amount of dry time that you need. If it's glossy, you know, sometimes it never dries on there, so you get the smudge off, and I just can't. And I also love the way that the paint pen wears. So even if you get, like, see, I just did this deck and for some reason, this little strip isn't as dark as the others. As it starts to wear, it looks very natural. It doesn't look like you're missing giant chunks. It just looks kind of broken in, which I enjoy. So the way that I do this, this is the Ask the Witch Tarot, and you'll see that a lot of my edges here are kind of chipped. This happens with a lot of black border decks. You'll see this on my Tarot Vampires as well. You just get the worn edges. I think it's because of the black. It just shows up more than other colors. But since I have that, I'm not wiping the edges of this deck, which you'll see what I'm talking about in a minute, but I have with a lot of other decks, and that prevents you from getting these lines on the back, which is another reason I love paint markers. We'll talk about this all as we go. So let me just demonstrate. So I take one card at a time. I like to put the front of the card facing away from me. This helps get any of this kind of over border. I don't know if you can see it very well. You can kind of see it on this edge. There's like a little bit of the paint marker that you can see. This is not the edge, but you're looking at a little bit of a line on the front that came through. If you hold your card in this way, you'll get less of that on the card side that's facing away from you. That's why I like to put the like actual picture facing away from me. So I'll hold my card like this. Hopefully my camera will like to focus for this. Take my paint marker, make sure I've made it, you know, nice and juicy and things. And then I use my pinky to stabilize. Oops. So let's see if we can, so I'm holding my pinky like this. I'm right-handed, so you can't see very well. I do apologize, but I run my pinky along the edge and I just lightly, I'm not using a ton of pressure, run my paint marker down the edge. And it's very hard to focus on an edge with camera. But as you can see, it has that little lip. So what I do if I don't want that is immediately I take some kind of paper towel and I just rub down the edge. And usually it takes it away. I waited too long. But if you do it right away, you can wipe any of that excess off. But because I have those kind of gunked up edges, and I actually don't really like the backing to this card, I'm not super concerned about that blue border. So I just continue to go around the edge of the card. Sometimes you have to like color in the edges, I mean the corners really lightly, because it doesn't always run over it super well. Oops. See, I got a little on there. You just kind of wipe it right away and it comes off. Sometimes you'll slip. That's just part of it. Usually I can do this a little bit smoother, but because I have the camera in the way, it's a little bit harder for me. There's also some background noise, so I apologize, but hopefully my camera's not picking up what's going on outside. But yeah, that's I think I was off camera for a bit of that, but you just color all the way around the edge, and then I just carefully, you know, set it down to dry, and I keep going. This process sometimes, depending on how careful you are, is how long it takes. Sometimes it takes several hours, especially since, you know, there's 78 cards in a deck. But it's a fun bonding experience. I don't edge all of my decks, but some of them I just feel like I like to, especially if I'm having a hard time bonding with a deck for some reason. Edging it helps. I'm trying to find one where I like really went over on the edge so I can show you another reason why I love using paint pen. Oh, here's a good example. So on the card, you can see here how I ran over the edge. With paint marker, as long as it's a glossy card, I can actually just go ahead and scratch that away. See how that's like gone now? This works especially well with Posca, but it just, there it goes. And as I use it, it will flake off to the other edges. But because the edge of the card is not laminated, it's more porous, it doesn't chip off in the way that it will, you know, from the front and things. I'm about to do a review on this deck, so I'm trying to keep it in order, which doesn't seem to be working. Did I already accidentally shuffle this deck? That seems like, here we go. I like shuffle my decks constantly, so it's really hard for me to keep things in order sometimes. But yeah, that's how I edge my decks. It's just super fun. It's a really quick demonstration, but it's really easy, and like I said, I really enjoy using the paint pen for it. It just gives your deck more of a personality. It gives it kind of a bonding experience because you go through the deck, you know, one card at a time. You get to pick out a color that you really like. It kind of makes it your own, and I always kind of look at either what's the color on the back is or what color is going on within the deck. You'll see this blue here is quite similar to this. This deck has a lot of like different pastel colors and more like muted yet vibrant, muted yet saturated colors maybe is a better way to say that. Like these two cards here, you can see there's lots of color going on, but they're like different. The color is different. So, and then you have like this very standard like dark blue back. So I used this blue to kind of like meld the two, but you don't have to be so, you know, technical and serious about your color choices. But yeah, that's that. Like I said, you can use any marker you desire, but I like the paint markers. If you don't want the bleed over in the edge, you just immediately take a paper towel and kind of wipe the edge of your card there. Remember to hold the edge that you don't want to have as much bleed over on it kind of away from you. And then let's pretend this is my marker tip, as I'm drawing my line on the edge, I steady my marker tip by putting my pinky there and just using it as like a little guide. I find that to be really helpful. So I'm going to show you a couple other decks that I've done in the past just to for fun and giggles. But if you have any questions, definitely let me know. All right, so some other decks that I have edged in the past. I edged the Muse Tarot in this hot fluorescent pink color. It doesn't even look as bright as it is in real life on camera. It's like, let's see if this will show up better. No, it doesn't. This is a fluorescent pink sticky note. It looks pastel on camera, at least in the viewfinder for me right now. But it's like hot sticky note pink. And I love it. It just adds to that personality. It's the same pink as these kind of flowers on here, maybe a little more fluorescent, but it's pretty close. You have like the teal blue, and then it just looks really pretty with all of like the super vibrant colors of this deck. I actually edged this in hopes of connecting with this deck further. Me and this deck have like a complicated relationship. I thought I was going to pass it on. I can't bring myself to. We still have some work to do together, I guess, whether it be just for clients or not, because this reads beautifully for clients. But anyway, this isn't supposed to be a review on any of these decks, but I edged that one. Another one that I've edged that I talk about extensively is the White Newman Tarot. This is a deck that I have a pretty awesome relationship with. We spent a long time together. I did a 1 month with this deck video. If you want to check that out, I'll leave it linked below. But this deck I edged with a bronze. So it actually looks quite aged naturally because the bronze is kind of a paint mixture of this like brown and silver together. So you get like these different shade variations. Some are more silver, some are more brown. It looks very like ancient and ethereal at the same time. It is a little shimmery, not too much in your face. And of course it is just a paint marker. I don't know why that's flipped over there, but it looks super pretty. It very much matches kind of the tan backgrounds. And this one I worked really hard. As you'll see, there's no paint marker along the front edges or the back edges really, and that's because I took a long time to edge this. This one took me 3 or 4 days to edge. Not working on it all day obviously, but for, you know, good chunks of time, because every single edge I was painting the edge and then wiping it immediately with a cloth so that I didn't get any of that kind of run over. But that is another one that I have edged that I really enjoy. Now, I don't, of course, just use tarot. I do oracle as well. The oracle decks don't take as long because they don't have as many cards. Generally, anyway. So I have edged these two. This one is the Rose Oracle by Rebecca Campbell. And this one I edged in this like deep fuchsia color. Again, I feel like the camera just doesn't saturate it enough. But I really enjoy how this looks. You can see how you don't see the color as much when you fan it if you wipe it. Because you can't really see it on the backs much, but on the fronts, see how I didn't really wipe much of the fronts off, and you can see these tiny little borders of the pink there. So this is a really fun one. I love how this looks. I love that it looks so pretty while you're like side riffling it. This one has worn, so you'll see how it's kind of like whiter in some areas than others. That's just from use. This also, I don't know why this made these lines. I think it's just because of however they print and cut the cardstock. But when you use the paint marker, the fact that it's like weathered and worn, oh no, that's not the printing. It's just how the rose looks. I see. But anyway, as you'll see, the wear happens because this one has the most wear on it. It's the one I did the longest ago. There we go. You can see it a little better. See how it's kind of like lighter in some areas than others, ignoring the spot for the rose there. But I don't know, it just doesn't look as bad. It looks like beaten up and worn in a good way because it's been used, which is exactly why it looks like that. And then the last one that I did was the Healing Waters Oracle. And this one I did in this beautiful turquoise blue. That one shows up true. As you can see, I kind of, I don't know, missed that edge, I guess. I apologize for the focus issues in this video. I hope that it's not too distracting, but yeah, I just really, this was another one where I was trying to bond with the deck, and I feel like it really infused more of that like water energy into it. You can definitely see that I tried to match the marker a little bit kind of with the bottom border here, which is blue, which I do appreciate. I like that it kind of matches. The turquoise I think is a nice addition to like the different shades of blue and the different light colors within this deck. Yeah, there's lots of options, lots of different color choices you can choose. Again, I love to match the edge with like the vibe of the deck. It doesn't always have to like match, but it just kind of like ties everything together, especially if you have a deck with a lot of different colors, or you have a deck where the back definitely does not feel like the front, like with this deck that prompted me to make this video, the Ask the Witch deck. It's just such a like vibrant yet muted and uniquely colored deck with like such a boring back. So putting this kind of like baby blue on there to blend the two worlds, I think is going to be great as I kind of continue to use it. And this is a deck that you have to shuffle. Oh darn, I said I wasn't going to shuffle it because it was in order. Oh no. See, this happens to me all the time. Might as well keep going because we already started. But this is a deck that I can't riffle because it's too large. I have to overhand. And especially when you're like overhand shuffling a deck, I feel like the edging just kind of makes a difference because you're looking at the edge, right? You're not looking at the front or the back like you do with a riffle. You're looking at the side of your cards or the top of your cards. So that is my short little video, kind of short. Somehow I can still make a 2-minute video into a 20-minute video because I love to talk, but that is how I like to edge my decks. I hope that that was helpful. I hope you're feeling inspired. I will leave links to the different colors that I used if I can find them, and definitely kind of my favorite packs to buy for these different paint markers if you want to try that out as your new medium of choice. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you guys again in the next video. Take care, guys.